Welcome to another episode of Fast Casual Nation. This, of course, is the podcast that really breaks down kind of the innovations in the fast casual segment, and we do it through talking with brand leaders, technologists, really kind of innovators across the gambit. And today we've got with us Sam Nazarian, who is with C3, joining us right here from Miami, next door to us. Sam, great to have you on the show.
That's right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good time to be in Miami these days.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. You know, when you look at just all the development that's happening here in South Florida, I've been surprised with, you know, in the beginning, I was kind of a little worried with the number of chef-oriented and full-service restaurants that were kind of having some problems here. Right. But it seems as though we were able to weather the storm to a certain extent. Right. So I love to see companies like you really kind of going that innovative direction. So congratulations on all that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what C3 is doing today, kind of your whole framework. You've been in a lot of hospitality organizations throughout your career. Yeah. Kind of explain to us a little about where you are now.
Sure. Thank you. You know, I think the real best part to describe what C3 is really kind of taking a step back in what I've been doing the last 2 decades, as you said. So I built a company called SBE since 2003. The real focus of SBE was really full service integrated lifestyle. And obviously a big part of that is food and beverage, restaurants, nightlife, entertainment, and integrating that within hotel properties in our hotels all around the world. We sold that business in late 2019 to our partners in Paris, Accor Hotels. And it really kind of opened me up to start to rethink about what was really around the corner in food and beverage. And we really got a little bit of a head start in 2017 when we really started to see, as everyone did, a natural disruption that was happening in restaurants. This was something that restaurants was a category that really hadn't been disrupted up to 2017 and 18. It wasn't the kind of, call it the Amazon effect or the Netflix effect. And we started seeing a major uplift in, obviously, delivery and a consumer behavioral change where not just Gen Z or millennials were ordering at paces that were just, eye-opening, but also we started, really to understand, what was the consumer value of delivering high-quality food, high-quality brands, high-quality culinary talent, as we had in the full service, into the level of fast casual and QSR with a main idea and a main viewpoint for delivery. And so we started that business in 2018 called C3. C3 means creating culinary communities, which is really what our main core DNA is really looking at real estate around the country and around the world that has become obsolete. Real estate that really needs an injection of a new business plan. And the things that we focus on at C3 are a brand-focused company and a tech-focused company. Which basically allows us to inject our QSR fast casual brands into existing kitchens and a new way of unlocking the value of a consumer that wants to order unbelievable quality fast casual delivery brands, but do it across many different types of food. And that was really what we set forth to do in 2018. And kind of fast forward today, where I think we're the largest or the fastest growing, at least, in the category, and we have some amazing partners, and it's really kind of taken off. And Miami's obviously a perfect place to kind of bring the worlds of culinary and tech together.
Yeah, I like that approach for sure. One thing that I noted when we talked a little bit with your PR team, and really kind of the direction of today's interview, is really this whole concept of the delivery downfall potentially that could be occurring. I'd like to kind of know a little about what you're talking about there, because I see it going a couple of different directions here. We've had several people kind of talking about third party and potential struggles that particular category is going to have in the coming months, and also the diversification of fast casual in general. Talk to me a little bit about what you're thinking around delivery's shift over the next few years.
Sure, sure. It's an interesting question and something obviously we're very kind of keen and focused on. I'll take a step back. About 18 years ago, when I got into the hotel business, there was an onset of a disruption that happened with online travel agents, Expedia's, Travelocities of the world. And that customer, very similarly to what we see with the delivery apps, was a commission-based business where, Travelocity would bring you a customer in your hotel and they take 20-25% commission. The difference there is the profitability of a room for a hotel operator like us was 70, 75, 80%, depending on the hotel.
Sure.
So there was enough cushion for us to be able to pay a commission like that for a new customer acquisition. In the world today, and that's really why we started C3 3 years ago, was we saw that restaurants that were converting a lot of their kitchens and a lot of their revenue focus to delivery were not set up for it properly. They were not set up for the packaging. The restaurants were not set up for delivery guys and gals to come in and go out. And that's really was one of the main focuses that we looked at, kind of really these virtual kitchens and incremental real estate that could be converted specifically with the eye of the delivery driver and the fortress effect of the demographics around it. So now fast forward to today, and really with the pandemic that accelerated a lot of restaurants to go specifically onto the delivery apps. The reality is the 70% analogy of profitability in the world of restaurants is really 15 to 25%. I mean, that's really a good operator will get you a 25% margin flow through. And once you layer in a 25% commission and a 5 to 7% packaging cost, and people that cannot buy things at scale and really have a supply chain that can really focus around building quality product, but the best ingredients and so forth and so on. I'm of the mindset that the huge amount of revenue that has come into the delivery apps over the last, call it trailing 12 months, will have a very big adjustment when restaurateurs, the great, unbelievable backbone of this industry, which are, great entrepreneurs in different markets that don't have a chain of 500, locations, will refocus when the world opens, and it is opening. I mean, in Miami, it's open, back into their core business, which is taking care of guests in their restaurants. And I really feel that if you're just focused around working with the delivery apps, which is a great business, by the way, and something we do well, it's not a profitable, sustainable business if you don't have a real strategy and a direct-to-consumer tech that can eliminate a lot of the incremental costs that this particular side of the business has.
So there's two. I want to unpack that a little bit. We've seen and been tracking some very unique data across since 2019, 2018, because we've been tracking a lot of the delivery space around third party and kind of this evolution of really where Uber Eats kind of began the game. Obviously, Postmates and many others now all involved. But one thing that we've noticed in the past 12 months, which is whether it's a leading indicator or whether this could be just a temporary bubble, the point is that we're seeing a lot more direct takeout. The growth in direct takeout is exponential compared to the growth in third party, which means that consumers are going direct to brand, and either they're going to dine in or they're going to say, hey, one night a week I'm going to drop by and pick up an order to go, or two nights a week like I do. But that has grown dramatically in the past 24 months. When you look at that of course kills the third party commission application. Sure. And it brings the cost back down to where the restaurant operator can make a little bit more money. Do you see that as a long-term effect of potentially taking over, where third party is going to kind of maybe wane into the very, very, issue of I need convenience? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's an interesting point. I mean, we've seen it too, where people say, I don't want to spend $7 on a $18 purchase to go just have it delivered to me on the way home. I'll go pick it up. But the convenience of having a direct channel to my local restaurant or to my local favorite little couple of restaurants is great. So I can just literally on my phone go have the food there for convenience, pick it up and take it home, or take it to my office or wherever. Right. It's a very interesting way you look at kind of the kind of revenue management of a business. We are an omni-channel company. Our brands are created not just for the digital world or just for the four-wall. We look at, exactly to your point, and where we see the business where we saw it before, COVID and really have built, an unbelievable pipeline during the pandemic and post with an eye for post-COVID is we feel that giving enough solutions and enough opportunities for our customers to be able to either deliver, have the food delivered, whether it's through a third-party app or with our own last mile delivery partnerships that we have, having food halls that are strategically located in the centers of cities that can also add loyalty and a brand awareness of our brands, and ultimately utilizing real estate or our partnerships with Reef, our partnerships with Accor Hotel, who's a very big investor in ours. We've just announced a couple months ago partnership with Graduate Hotels, where we've taken all of their hotel kitchens and are now not only supplying in-room dining, but also 6 to 7 brands per hotels for the 3.5 million students that are surrounding Graduate Hotels. So I really think that it has to be looked at as an omni-channel approach to food. The delivery apps are going to be here, even though they're consolidating more and more. The amount of marketing they have and the amount of dollars they're spending for customer acquisition is tremendous, and that's a big part of our revenue model. But ultimately, the thing that will keep us from being as and seeing the profitabilities that we've seen and the scale is the direct to consumer opportunity. And I think from that perspective, the delivery apps aren't going anywhere. I think the revenue may come back down just because people are not going to be sitting at home as much in the next 12 to 24 months. But it's going to be a very big part of our ecosystem, and how an operator plays with the revenue management approach to their total business is really going to be what's going to be the people that are going to win in the next round.
Yeah. That's something that I've talked to several executives on in fast casual is they've kind of put this into 3 pies now. One is about 1/3 of their business is going to come back in restaurant. Maybe 1/3 is going to go direct to takeout, and then 1/3 being third party. But when you look at third party, and I don't feel like I'm picking on them, but I'm always talking about third party because their business model is broken in the sense that the cost to do business and run that kind of network, they have to be charging these kinds of fees. But this, of course, is not a sustainable model, especially if you're seeing trends to where direct takeout and people are going back to in-restaurant dining. So all of those, this may have been a temporary lift for some of these players, but long term, I think it's also exposed them in the sense that there's been some pretty heavy fees. There's a lot of concern around too many people in the middle. So that is definitely something we're going to be watching down the road. Do you see? So your belief is that you have to have the physical plant to be able to drive awareness, so that because we're also seeing virtual and ghost brands that don't even have really physical plants, so to speak, which means they're all reliant upon the third-party marketplaces versus a physical plant. You've got some marketing, some brand development, some awareness. You feel that's the direction that people need to go. Is that correct?
Well, that's why I say I think as somebody who's built brands, I've built over 40 F&B brands and 7 hospitality brands, and countless entertainment and nightlife brands over the last 20 years. I think for a brand to be sustainable, it really needs to touch people and connect with people at different levels. Definitely, our focus is on the ultimate digital aspect of it, and really adding the ability and the headline of some of the best chefs and some of the best brands at a value proposition to feed all types of demographic aspects of the markets we're in. But I definitely do think, I'll give you an example. We launched a brand during COVID called Krispy Rice, which is our Japanese fast casual brand. And now since COVID, we have, since onset, I think April 7th, we launched our first one. We have over 87 digital locations for Krispy Rice with another 50 coming in the next 3 to 4 months. But I definitely feel to really get the value of that particular brand, in addition to what we're doing on social and paid media and content creation and influencers and all these things that are part of a strategy, we're opening 25 4-wall Krispy Rices over the next 12 months. And now, mind you, in the back of those Krispy Rices, we have 6 virtual brands being cooked as well. You as a consumer will not know that, but unless you're picking up or you're ordering from that particular location to your home. But really, that's how we see what C3 is different. C3 from on the onset was being able to unlock the value of real estate, create restaurants of the future, and have an omni-channel approach that, you're going to go into an airport and see a crispy rice in this particular case. You're going to go to a college campus and be able to order it, and you're going to come home and look and have a crispy rice at your local mall or at your office, because it's part of an amazing food hall that we're doing. So I definitely think that's our competitive differentiation, is that we are looking at this in an approach of having an emotional connection with a brand, and to me that's really what will give sustainability to what we're doing with the collection of the 40 brands we have today.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we've done some comparison analysis on concepts like what Mr. Beast is trying to do with their virtual brand approach. Obviously, they started here in Miami with a physical location, but they've kind of gone this whole direction of virtual. Wow Bao, of course, has done a lot of this, innovation around these virtual brands within other units. So there's definitely some opportunity there, and I think this is going to be a very interesting, restaurant industry over the next few years. If you looked at the industry over the next, say, 3 years, how do you see this playing out? Because there's so many things happening right now that are different than it was just 18 months ago.
I go back to, my experience of 17, 18 years in the hotel world. When we started in hotels, the word boutique hotels was really kind of the key driver of the category, which was very small. And then lifestyle became kind of the lane now that every major hotel company wants to play in. I think, the way I look at restaurants and I look at brands and I look at kind of consumer behavior, you have obviously the Gen Z that is ordering at 3 to 4 times faster than kind of a demographic that skews older. They're going to be really leading the next 5 or 10 years of brands that are being created specifically for them. Mr. Beast is a great example of a business that's really just focused on that particular category that's doing exceptionally well. I think the restaurants have to adapt. I think restaurants have to utilize the way labor cost is, the way, all the CapEx that's required for companies to grow. They have to adapt to a direct-to-consumer connection. And that's an investment that, some are kind of off-the-shelf solutions and some of them are more bigger investments that are made, but there are very simple off-the-shelf solutions for restaurateurs and entrepreneurs to be able to connect to the consumer. And number 2 is they really have to look at their real estate in a different way. They have to be, in our world, we looked at a hotel and a hotel lobby, and we populated that hotel lobby with full service restaurants and bars and experiences, which helped offset some of the incremental costs that we were experiencing in just normal course, building hotels. Here it's the same thing. I think the white tablecloth type consumer now is a minority, and the chef-driven brands that are just around the chef are not as important. I think the consumer now is looking for, a brand that connects with them, whether it's through plant-based, whether it's through eco-friendly ecosystem, a culture that a company has that really addresses some of the social concerns that are around, that we're all, really focused on to help resolve very quickly. I think that generation, the kids that are ordering at the pace that are really going to make and move the dial in some of these early brands, they're much smarter than when I was 21 years old about food. They have access to information, and they're following their influencers, and they're following their tastemakers. And any restaurant should have a finger on the pulse of what that is within their community. And that's really what, if you think about all these, these YouTube creators now, and we're focusing on a good chunk of them right now within our network, they're shooting content every day, more than NBC, ABC, and CBS, combined. And that's really where, exactly. And that's really, And that's really what I think the future is going to be, is how are you getting your message out? How are you getting your brand out? And when you do get it out, how are you delivering quality? And how are you bringing lifestyle in a box to your home or your office? And that's really the other piece of kind of what we do at C3, really focus on the end-to-end solution.
Yeah, I like it. Let's talk about the technology, because this is something that, has obviously shifted for the industry, in a welcome way. I think the industry has kind of been pushed into, this innovative zone of just creating new ways of doing business very quickly. A lot of development in terms of how they're actually implementing some technology. If you look at where tech is today and kind of this new area, I was talking to a CEO just the other day about this new area, kind of the fifth wall, meaning it's the digital space. It's just outside the restaurant, but it's highly connected to the overall experience. UX has to match up, all those kind of things. How important do you think that is once we get going back to 40, 50, 60% in restaurant dining?
It's a great question. I think for me, and why we started C3, is we felt that fundamentally the pivot and the change and the disruption has happened. Consumer behavior has happened. The demand of the customer is a different demand. There definitely is a huge opportunity, and it continues to be, for creating amazing experiences within a four-wall. And that's something that we're obviously, a big part of our pipeline and our growth is that. But at the same time, the strategy of an entrepreneur and a restaurateur has to now just be, sobering, is that the disruption has happened, and they need to jump on to be able to be competitive within where that new customer is coming. And also how they can really utilize some of this unbelievable new technology that, back in the day, you had to rechange all your POS systems. You had to change pretty much all your accounting software. Now there's such unbelievable technology that's coming in that you can just layer on. I mean, we work with a great company called Lunchbox out of New York, which has really done all of our UI and all of our, aspects of our tech. So there's a lot of ways in which entrepreneurs don't have to be afraid of a huge investment, and more importantly, they need to be, I think, aware that kitchen is almost a fulfillment center, right? Kitchens around the country, around the world, have to also look at themselves as fulfillment centers of multi-brand approach, because if they can do that, they can really unlock the value of their real estate. In addition, by still, having the four-wall experience. That four-wall experience is unbelievably important. It's something that I think people are going to rush back into, as we've seen in markets that have opened up. But I think the next piece of this is utilizing off-the-shelf technology to be able to have that direct-to-consumer experience, to make sure that the real estate is fully efficient, and that's really what we focused on.
Well, there's definitely a lot of tech that is pouring into the market. I was talking to a couple of private equity guys that really had kind of just said this has become kind of the new gold rush right now of restaurant and hospitality tech, and just all the innovation that's happening. So it's going to be interesting to definitely watch. I want to ask you one more question, and that is around the idea of this last mile delivery. When you look at where technology is moving, we've seen I'll just say the aspect of autonomy in driverless cars potentially really becoming a thing in the next 2 to 3 years. And especially with where Tesla is moving in that direction, do you feel like there is an opportunity to really kind of go to the next level with maybe something that would go to a full driverless delivery option soon for the restaurant industry?
Well, listen, I mean, we've studied the last mile piece of the logistics. It's a very expensive piece. And for us, we decided not to play in that game and work with some of our great partners. In our case, it's DoorDash as our last mile delivery partner. And in different markets, we found really good regional opportunities for us to get the food from our kitchens to the endpoint very fast and efficiently. But I think, to your point, we are looking at robotics. We're going to be announcing very soon a big robotics partnership that helps automate a lot of what we're doing in the kitchens. And from a AI perspective, I don't think the market's there yet. I think it will be, maybe not in 2 or 3 years, but I think not too much further, especially in markets that have the huge 5G capability and also the infrastructure. Whether it's drone, whether it's whatever the case may be, it'll come. And that's why I think going back to the brand strategy, end of the day, it's about the brand and the quality and the connection and all these vessels in which how you connect with your customer and how the food gets to you. That's going to change at lightning speed. But I think going back to what we do well, which is, end of the day, we're in the business of taking care of other people and making sure that they're, giving them something that they appreciate and enjoy and need. And, that's, you can't layer in just tech business algorithms into the food business because you're dealing with great cooks. You're dealing with a hospitality industry that has human beings connected to it. And I think by trying to a lot of companies now, I've seen business plans that have just kind of eliminated all aspects of human capital. You know, you cannot be 100% robotic or AI when it comes to food, because you need to have that love that goes into taking care of other people. And as somebody who's had 11,000 employees in the hospitality business during the pandemic, you know, it's all about the people that are also creating the food for you. And they matter, and we're really focused on them as well.
For sure. Well, it's you know, it's a very fun time right now in the hospitality business. You know, especially fast casual, a lot of innovation happening. So that is for sure. Sam, it's been great having you on the show today. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so you guys are listening in maybe over on the podcast right now on iTunes or Spotify, or maybe even Google Play, and even now on Amazon Music. Make sure and leave a rating. That's how we get great feedback from you, our audience. And it's also a way that we learn maybe some things that you want to see here on Fast Casual Nation. If you have an idea, shoot it to us to producer@foodabletv.com. You can always hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We will catch you next time right here on Fast Casual Nation.